We quit fishing together for a little bit because we would fight all the time.
Well,
I'm the captain, first off. Don't tell me. I was at the doctor's office when like the FBI and the ATF came in. I was just like, can I still get my script? who does it? What doctor's office gets raided? That ain't normal.
They admitted him. And the nurses, my mom will tell you till this day, were acting very weird because they couldn't tell me anything. I was not his wife yet. They looked like they felt bad for me. Like this girl's walking down the aisle in 3 days.
I'm gonna tell you how crazy I was at that point. So what happened? I don't even know if I ever told you the whole story, but we're gonna tell it now, right?
Okay.
So
I'm listening to all this. I'm sympathizing for you, trying to put myself in your shoes. Did you trust anything that Mike said or did?
Not directly after, because things went to shit fast.
now I got a federal offense amount of heroin on me and Xanax in the cup holder with a loaded handgun, and I'm getting arrested. This is the crazy part. I woke up, I remember that, I woke up at Jefferson Hospital, and
Make it real awkward eye
or
contact.
I'll look at him
the whole time.
It's awkward.
I do that too.
Like staring.
Yeah, don't think I'm weird. I like them stare people down.
Oh, I will think you're weird. I already think you're weird.
Yeah, he is weird.
All right, guys, you ready?
Yes.
Welcome to the Barbells and Bourbon Podcast, the podcast that allows real people to tell real stories. I am your big, bald, bearded, barbell lifting, bourbon drinking son of a bitch, Shaun. And joining me today are Angela and Mike Blasko.
How's it going?
Hi.
I just got off a plane an hour ago, so I'm like kind of decompressing a little bit. But thanks for coming. I've been looking forward to this. I've talked to you guys a little bit over the last week, trying to get a little snapshot of your life, and it has been a lot to unpack. Like, I feel like I've had to do homework because there's a lot involved here. Now, I didn't know you before, we set this up, and you've been through a lot. The thing that stands out the most about what you guys told me is about a year into your marriage, Angela, you kicked Mike out of the house.
Yes.
I don't want to ask why yet, but I feel like that was a major turning point in both of your lives.
Yeah, I would say so.
Absolutely.
So I want to get into why you kicked him out. You shared some other things with me, some hospital moments, some deep stuff.
Yeah.
So I do want to go into that stuff because I think it's going to help the audience who might be dealing with things that you've been through. But I also want to give you both the opportunity to talk about things that interest you. You guys both have a business that you started together.
Yep.
And you're very passionate about that. So I want to give you the chance to talk about that, talk about your lives individually, your marriage. So we're gonna jump in.
Sounds good.
So first things first, where are you guys from?
Well, I grew up in Plum, and now we live in Washington Township over near Murraysville, Kiski area. Yeah.
Yeah, whole 8 minutes away.
Oh, 8 minutes from here.
Now, were you guys born and raised in the area?
I wasn't. I actually originally from like North Huntington, Norwin School District. Parents got divorced, ended up graduating from Seneca Valley High School, and back out here, and you'll hear more about a lot of jumping around.
Yeah. Now, did you have a similar childhood, Angela? Did you have divorced parents, or did you have your traditional household?
It was definitely like a traditional household. Like I said, grew up in Plum, and parents were always together. They've been together since they were like 14.
Oh, geez.
So they have always been together. So
That's before high school sweethearts.
yeah,
It's
they
like
have
junior high school sweethearts.
Yeah.
right?
Damn.
And they've been together and still hanging in there.
Yeah. So how was your relationship with your parents, Angela? Being that you had like the traditional household.
Very close with them. Very close with my mom. She's one of my best friends. Just calls her every day.
Yeah.
He loves that. My dad, he is who I started fishing with. We sometimes go on the boat and fish together, and so close with my dad. And we have camps up in Erie. So my parents have a camp right down the hill. So they are right there all the time. So big Italian family. Sunday dinner every Sunday, lots of food. Grew up in a huge Italian family.
That explains it all right there.
It does.
All you had to say is Italian family.
Yep, and that just everyone like has been like just together forever.
Yeah. So. What about you, Mike? I know you had the non-traditional kind of upbringing.
Non-traditional. I mean, somewhat normal as a kid, I guess. I mean, good. My grandparents and everything. A lot of tragedies, you know. After my mom and dad got divorced, I ended up staying with my dad. My brother went with my mom, and we lived in separate houses. I stayed with my grandpap a lot, my Pat Blasko, and he ended up getting sick and passing away. And I mean, fast forward, my grandmother got murdered, my mom's mom, my senior year in high school. So, like, that was crazy. So, on top of, like, the divorced parents and separate families, like, you know, I lost two of the most important people in my life. And, yeah, it's pretty wild. Totally opposite from Angela's family. Yeah. Definitely whenever we got together, not to jump around, but, like, it was so cool to have, like, Sunday dinner every week, have Sunday dinner. And, like, the men eat first. And then the women sit down and eat after. Like, it's pretty traditional.
That's very old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's very old-fashioned. Kids,
really cool.
Family. Yeah, kids.
So you kind of got the family you never had in a way?
Oh, absolutely. Like, her dad and I are, like, yeah, we have a lot of fun. We fish together a lot. We do all kinds of crazy stuff, work on projects together. You know, from when we built our house, like, I couldn't have done it without him. So it's pretty crazy.
But his parents his mom and stepdad have been amazing. So, like, you know, definitely have started our own traditions with them, and it's been really good with his family.
What was school like for you, Angela?
Oh boy. So I went to Plum High School, and I twirled baton my whole life, and so I was on the football field at Plum, and got like average grades, you know, just not like honors or anything like
just
that.
Enough to get by.
Just enough to get myself into college. Yeah. And then I went to University of Pittsburgh and twirled for them as well. So I did all the pit games and everything. So that was exciting. But yeah, just I went for marketing, and I knew I wanted to do marketing, sales type positions. So yeah, I graduated and started college.
So you had a traditional schooling too.
What they tell you to do, right?
You checked all the boxes, right?
Yep, you just kind of followed
college. And what about you, Mike?
Well, completely opposite.
This is going to be the theme here.
This is going to be the theme.
It's crazy that we're even together. I don't
know.
Honestly. It works. School, switched schools in like 6th grade, played football and sports, was always into motocross, which is how we ended up meeting anyway. Yeah, just wild, like the party. Try to be friends with everybody. You know, the burnout kids, the jocks, whatever. Like, I was just friends with everyone. I wanted to be around everybody.
Yeah.
I guess just trying. I really didn't have a place. I don't think I was any of them.
I jumped around with groups too. I mean, it's like everyone was just, you know.
Yeah.
It's no individual thing. Like, I just made my friends, and yeah, I had a really good high school. So. Great.
No, I was. I'm smart. I'll say I'm smart. Like, I know a lot of things. She went to Pitt, and she doesn't know where Harrisburg's at. But
I do know.
But I love her, and no. I don't know, man. Like, school just wasn't my thing.
I know, like, really.
Yeah. You didn't really care.
No, school wasn't for me. The workforce was. Ended up getting into construction. Was making like big money. All my friends were broke at college, living off ramen noodles, and I was doing bad things. I was living a rock star life, you know.
Gotcha. So that's interesting, because I've had multiple guests. Obviously, some went to college, some took the trade route, like you did, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
My opinions of college have shifted a little bit. I went to college. I checked all the boxes like you did what I was supposed to do, and you get a career which is stable and secure, but someone else defines what you're worth.
Yep.
It's just like there's a ceiling there with what you're going to get paid, and you have to work your way up the corporate ladder, right? Mm-hmm. But as it as a trade worker, you can kind of like make your own price in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a different opinion
Yeah.
of college now. Not that I regret going, but I don't know.
I think it gets your foot in the door.
It does. It teaches you things that you need, but there's things that I learned without it.
Oh yeah. And there's certain things you have to go to college for. Doctor, lawyer,
Yes.
you name it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you're not doing those without a degree.
Right.
But anyways.
But there's things, yeah. I've had a different opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Angela, would you say you were like in the popular crowd? You said you kind of like were friends with everybody,
Yeah.
but being that you were in the band, and I immediately think like the cheerleader clique and,
Yep. Yep.
Mean Girls. And
Yeah.
that wasn't you?
No,
Good.
no. I was just like twirled my baton and did my
Minded
thing
your own
and
business.
mind my own business, but just kind of, made friends with everybody, any group, anything. Like no one really was like defined. I sat at lunch with different people, and but it was interesting because they kind of put you in a position where you kind of dealt with like the dance team and the majorettes and everything, like because we actually got a grade in high school for twirling. It was like band front or something. Gotcha. So that's who I like kind of like sat with and really hung out with for the majority of the year. But nothing was really no one was off limits just because they were in a different group. Like I feel like I wouldn't say like popular crowd. I just kind of just floated. I just kind of floated through.
Yeah. So then, Mike, you were the chameleon, right? You were just kind of yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that
you were the fun
I've learned
guy.
in my recovery actually so far. But I just want to please everybody. I wanted to be around everybody. But I was always like class clown. Whatever would make people laugh, whatever would make people want to hang out with me.
Yeah.
So,
did you graduate high school?
Seneca Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were kind of painting a picture that maybe you didn't quite make it through because you were like, whatever, no judgment.
No, just no college for me, no, further education, just straight into construction and, running heavy equipment, stuff like that. Did some like spray foam insulation for a while with my uncle and my cousin. But I always liked like the excavators and the dump trucks. Like, I mean, we play with
Boys
them as
love
kids.
their toys.
Yeah, right? Now
And I will
get paid to
say
do it.
he's very good at it. Yeah. Like extremely good at it. So, really, really good.
So, Angela, you take a marketing career. Mm-hmm. Mike, you take a construction career. Where do your paths cross?
Motocross. My brother raced motocross all his life and did well at it. Went to Loretta Lynn's Nationals and did all the things. So he won an award even at a young age, and he was very good at.
I'll tell this story because I tell it better.
Whatever. Okay.
So
he races too. He was good.
We were at the awards banquet that they had every year for our local district motocross, and they do like a spring series, summer series, and so we were all there. And I think at the time, she says 21. I think I was 20, but I know I was drinking.
You just turned 21
because I had a beer in my hand in the video. Her mom had this big camera, like the ones with the VCR tape in it, and she was like videotaping, and we were dancing together. Her and her friend came, and I think we ended up making out in the coat closet.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man.
But it's funny now because I don't remember it this way, but she has pictures of us from that night. And
I had braces, and I lied about my age.
What was I thinking? She definitely didn't look 18. I thought she was 18.
I said I was going to college. Like I was graduating high school. I was going to college that year. Yeah. So it was not great.
So what's the age gap?
6.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I lied.
Maybe I was 21.
You were 21. I'm telling you. Well, but I lied. So, I lied about my age. And then we went on a date to Olive Garden.
Yeah, we did in my Civic.
In your Civic with no backseat. It was like a roll bar. I was like, I'm dying tonight. So went to the Olive Garden, but came back and my dad's talking to him because he was in motocross. So he's like talking to him and he goes, I can't wait till this one gets her license. And he's like, what are you waiting for? And he's like, well, for her to turn 16 because I was 15 and a half.
I'm like, why don't you have your license? You're 18
this
years old.
dude ran down the road and never came back.
We didn't see each other for how many years?
I mean, a long time.
15. How long was it?
It was like a long time.
Yeah.
I can't count right now.
So you met when you were 15 and you were 21.
Yep.
What drew you to each other?
I don't know. Probably I was a good dancer.
I thought he was hot. Like I was. It was. I mean, for 15, and okay,
The older guy.
The older guy. But to be fair, I came from a baton competition, so I had like full makeup on, full like. I was like
You were
really done up.
Yeah.
She looked 18.
But I had braces on, so I said, "I'll drunk for you." So.
Probably drunk if you hear the rest of my story.
Yeah. So I mean, but we reconnected. I was in a relationship for like 8.5 years, like on and off. Sort of ended that engagement. Worked on myself, like got myself back. And Snapchat.
And your mom on Facebook. Her mom was playing.
Yeah, well, she's always thought
Debbie Connector.
Yeah, my mom always said like I can see my daughter marrying somebody like him and blah blah blah. It was very weird from being 15. Yeah. But
yeah, it was a long time, and it was just weird. And I felt like it was weird because I felt like I like knew her still. And we only literally went on a date once. We hung out that night at the banquet, and we went on one date. And then that was it. And then all of a sudden we reconnected on social media, started talking to her mom. We fast-tracked it from that point, though.
Yeah, you like posted like a little picture of a fish, and I like kind of made fun of it because it was small, and and then you were like, "Do you want to go fishing sometime?"
Yeah.
And then we just like started dating, like, and then just didn't stop.
So in that 15-year gap, you were in a serious relationship, engaged. What did you do during that time?
The opposite. Couple long relationships. I had 2 kids. Yeah, I mean, at that time, I was probably drinking, drugging, just being wild, working a lot. Just living a crazy, wild life. And honestly, just kind of start the story into my recovery is when I've met Angela, I was like, this is the sign. Catholic, Italian girl, good. Like, I knew she was a good girl, like, didn't drink, didn't do drugs. I knew her family was good. Like, man, maybe this is what I need.
Stability.
So, I didn't, like, say that out loud, but, like, that's what I feel like. Like, I was drawn to that.
Mm-hmm. So when you guys reconnected after the 15 years, was it, like, instant spark again?
For me, it was. I thought he put me in the friend zone. Like,
it was like two times.
I like showed up at the house and we were going to like a movie or something. You were not like smooth at all, but like you
gotta remember what mindset I was in too. I was in and out of active addiction at this point.
But I didn't know, obviously.
So I think I did like about a year before we started dating again. I went and detoxed from like pain pills and Xanax, stuff like that, and drinking. I ended up quitting on my own, like cold turkey, which not recommended, especially benzos like Xanax. And I got all loopy. And long story short, like moved out, stayed with my mom for a minute, went in and detoxed, moved north, went and stayed with my brother for a little bit, tried to clean my life up. And then I was clean for a minute, and then I started drinking again. Like I was just like kind of casually, socially drinking, and this is the point where we met. So I was like, I don't know. I was crazy.
But it didn't seem like that though. Like I feel like we went to the movies and stuff, and like I would say I'm cold. He's like, isn't your jacket in the car? Like he's just like not zero smoothness. And then like I would call my mom on the way home because that's who I called, and I was like, I think I'm in the friend zone. Like he didn't like try to kiss me or like really hug me afterwards. Like I just felt like I was friend zoned. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, cool.
Probably making sure you're old enough now. But seriously,
you're playing cautiously.
Don't get it twisted. Like it was all real. Like when we like started dating again, and I seen her, like I did like really like her, and like. But I'm just saying, like I was in a messed up place in my life. But
I would have never guessed it the way he was like acting. He was like the fun guy.
That's what we do. We hide that as drug addicts or alcoholics. Like we hide that. But like everything was real with our relationship. But
I just
made me think of where I was at that time. I feel like I had the backwards hat and the cutoff sleeves and just
you did have the backwards
90 mile an hour, maybe faster.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So when you guys get back together, Did you know about what he had gone through with the drugs and everything when you reconnected?
Not even, because when we would go out, like he could have like 2 or 3 Bud Lights and just like be like talk like normal and just be done. Like I wasn't watching him get like annihilated like every time we went out. Like it was like a casual, normal drinking situation. Like he never got like drunk. It was like, but wasn't his problem. But I mean, it was not obvious at all. Like it took a long time for me to know that part.
At that point, though, it was like just, like I said, I got clean for a little bit and was trying to like rebuild my life. So at that point, it was more like a social drinking. It didn't quite snowball real fast. Like
No, I mean, he didn't.
Hear how it happens in the future here, but at that time, it was just like, yeah, I'm good. I could drink a couple beers. Little did I know what was gonna happen from there.
So your main addiction was pills or pills and alcohol? Like,
yeah, I mean,
equally.
Everything. At the end, it was heroin, opiates. No, it's pain pills. From racing motocross, I had some knee surgeries, back surgery, shoulder surgery. So opiates were like a big part of my life for a long time. They made me feel good, kept me out of pain. Drinking, cocaine. I did it all, honestly.
But he was overprescribed those things. Those shows that you see on Netflix and such. Yeah. We watched them, and he would call out what was going to happen before it happened because he lived.
That was the time.
That was the time.
Yeah, that's when my addiction got really, really bad. It wasn't like just every once in a while taking a Vicodin or something.
I mean, the doctor got raided where he was getting.
I was there. I was at the doctor's office when like the FBI and the ATF came in. I was just like, "Can I still get my script?" Like who does it? What doctor's office gets raided? That ain't normal.
I mean, who was it? The pharmacist was in on. Like there was a lot of stuff.
There was
like,
a chiropractor.
A lot of people were like in this like circle.
Yeah,
so
we
they were
into all
it's
that.
real.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So they were prescribing things that you didn't need.
They would ask me what I wanted. Like it wasn't like, listen, you need to take this 2 times a day. Like, what do you think? I'm like, well, listen, when I take 10 of these a day, it's like 10 at the same time. Well, I'm going to give you 15. Take 15 a day, and then if you have some left over, just save them in case you can't get in. And like that's.
So you're dosing yourself.
Oh yeah, street pharmacist, dude. I was a street pharmacist.
Yep. That's how. So those stories and why there's such controversy around that is because of that reason. The farm reps at the time, like everything you watched on that show is real. That's why
those Netflix shows they
hit it nail on.
That's where my addiction started, right there.
Yeah. Okay, so you're back together. Social drinking, no red flags for you. What's the point where you're like, something might be wrong here, Angela?
Oh, I can definitely tell you that. He was very open that money saving wasn't his strong suit.
Sure wasn't.
Sure wasn't. So I think this was almost a cry for help a little bit. He was like, I think I need somebody to manage my money. Now, I'm like, okay, like, not like a grown woman wants to like hear that, but like, I also came from a different kind of relationship before that like didn't ever want to put things like together, I felt like. So I was like, this might not be a bad thing, like it's kind of old school, like men go to work, he just gives the money and I kind of do what I need to do with it. And it's like a together thing. And I was like, okay. So I don't know if it was like a cry for help because he knew I could see everything, but it was the bank account that really started the questioning because I would see like ATM withdrawals for like these amounts that are so spot on. And I kind of understand, knowing the world, that what that meant. And it was basically the milligrams. And so it was like all these different ATM draws, and I printed it out one day and I like highlighted all of it, and it totaled like a ton of money. And I'm like, he's going to drain like my savings, you know what I mean? Because like things were kind of getting together because at that point we were already engaged. So I know it's fast forwarding a little bit, but we were already engaged, and So getting money together seemed like the next step to do.
Sure.
And the money thing is where I started questioning things. It still wasn't in my face. Other people around me could see things decline, but it was a true like love is blind situation.
That's a real thing too.
It is a
we
real
see it
thing.
a lot, like trying to help people.
Yeah. So it's a love is blind, and yeah, I mean that was where it started, and then it was like, you know, even like his family started like distancing themselves, and like, to be honest, like it got to the point where his family didn't come to our wedding. Like his own mom didn't come to our wedding, and the way he separated me and his family, he did a very good job at doing that. So we got engaged of March of 2016. And I would say through 2016, at the end of 2016, going into 17, I just saw like nobody in his life almost, you know what I mean? But like the reasonings were almost like, oh, okay, maybe like it isn't his fault. You know, like he would make excuses and tell me things that, oh, well, they're not here because of this. And then it was like other weird money things, like a cash loan out of nowhere. Like, just what do you need that for? Like, just weird things. But it still like didn't like point 100% to drugs, like for me. And I don't know why. I think it's because he was so good at making an excuse for every little thing that I questioned.
So what was your excuse?
Well, that's what I wanted to say. Like, she's sharing it. If you see me laugh or smile, it's just because I'm like not like, because it isn't really funny. But as an addict in recovery, we sometimes just kind of laugh about that stuff. Like, wow.
Like,
yeah,
more
like,
you're laughing
wow.
because like I can't believe I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did do it. The way we do it is we're just like trying to like mask it, candy coat everything, do whatever we have to do to get the next drink or drug. So like I remember the highlighted bank statements. I came home from work and your mom was sitting on the porch step.
Yeah.
And she had these papers. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, and I, as an addict, I was good at BSing. And I remember her like, what's this? $80, $80, $80, $80. And I'm like, oh, well. So like not wanting to say it's drugs, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, well, I have a problem with scratch off lottery. Thinking gambling's, you know, better than drugs. And really it's the same darn disease. You know, I learned that now, but thinking, okay, that's it. And I think that might have got me a couple more weeks, you know. And that went on and on for a while with stuff like that.
Yeah, and another thing that he sort of told me it was for, because this is whenever I sort of knew that it was kind of a problem, but like not to the point of like pills or anything like that, because at that time it wasn't heroin. But some people recover with Suboxone or methadone or something like that. And again, it's a controversial topic. So some people believe like that's going to keep people off of heroin. That's going to keep people, you know, alive. Everyone feels differently about it. For him, that doesn't work. But I didn't know
it for a while.
He did try, but I didn't. But we didn't like choose to try it. He said that like some of that bank stuff was to buy, because he didn't have health insurance at the time, to buy this thing called Suboxone, which I didn't know about. I was planning a wedding. I didn't look it up. I didn't get into like understanding what it was. He said it's basically a nicotine patch for like smokers, and I was like, okay. So like I didn't think like anything of it at the time. Now knowing what it is and how it made him feel, some people like can be on it, but to be in the full, like what do I call it? Like almost like the full picture of recovery, to see the full picture of what it looks like, being on it isn't probably going to give you that full picture.
The bottom line is,
but I thought that was, you know,
it's
that's
still a
all
drug.
it was. It's still a drug.
You get high.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a drug. You could take, if I took one right now, it would get me high.
Right. So like,
and that's not.
but I didn't realize, he's like, quote, it's a nicotine patch, you know? And so I didn't think anything of it. So that was as far as I knew going into the wedding, was this Suboxone, you know, that I had no idea what it was really.
Yeah. So You said love is blind.
Oh, it is.
Now, I'm seeing all of these red flags, and I don't have a past with drug addiction. I had no family members that were addicts. Like, I don't know much about the disease, but just hearing this, I would probably be like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would probably confront you if I was your fiance, right?
Oh, I've confronted him. I said, like, what is going on? What is this? What's that? And he would just have something to say for everything, and he was good at it.
And you're like, oh.
Well, it's like I was planning this wedding, and I'm like, should I just back it off? We like went to counseling, like thinking that it was a communication thing or whatnot. I mean, it's almost like after the wedding, that's whenever he got sloppy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He kept it very together. Like, I would say within the first, like, by the time my bridal shower happened to the wedding, he started getting sloppier, I feel like.
As far as, like, keeping your story straight?
Like,
Just
keeping up.
everything
It's
in
like
general.
exhausting.
But the crazy thing is, like, thinking about it and hearing her tell the story right now, I'm like I'm like, all them little tidbits of, like, you know, counseling and all this stuff was, like, deep and down, like, I wanted to be clean, you know, and it was just, like, just funny hearing that now, like, trying, like, it's almost like I just touched my foot in the water to feel if it's warm, you know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to see if that's what I needed. But as an addict, I was very self-willed, so I'm like, I'm good, you know, I'm good, I got this. No, I didn't.
But to be fair, now that I'm educated and I have gotten, like, certified to like help family, you know, with this, going back and now looking at it, like, I want to be like, you're an effing idiot. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
We've seen it. We've seen it helping people. We, like, literally help couples, or, like, a spouse will call us, you know, or whatever the situation might be. We, like, literally get to watch
this, like, pan out.
We just talked about. We get to see it in real life.
But I would look back at myself and just, like, freaking smack me. You know what I mean? Like, there would be no question. It was so obvious.
Yeah.
But it was like not growing up in a home that had ever my parents didn't even, like, smoke cigarettes. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen drugs and alcohol. I didn't hang out in groups in high school that did drugs and alcohol. So it was, like, very, I don't know. It was just it wasn't a world I've ever seen. It wasn't behaviors like I've ever seen. So to be fair, I really was blind by it, you know, but looking back, there was a lot of red flags.
For sure.
So I've seen a lot of movies with drugs, addicts. What did you look like, Mike? Because I know of these movies I've seen, most addicts are really skinny, kind of washed out, bad teeth. Like, what did you look like?
I would say,
in there.
that's some of them. I would say like I do now, but just a lot skinnier. I mean, we joke around because I say, like, dude, I was so ripped, and she's like, you were all ribs. It was like, I was 150 pounds when I went into treatment.
It was like a sunken in look.
Just dull color. You know, your hygiene kind of goes. But dude, I was so good at hiding it. Like, so the big thing about my addiction career, we'll call it, was I always tried to have that external solution for the internal. Like, I was all messed up, but, like, I always had to have, like, a decent car, whatever I had to do to have a decent car. Like, I wanted people to think that I was okay.
That you had your shit straight.
But I wasn't, you know.
So,
it was bad. You
get married.
Well, leading up to marriage. You probably want to hear the days leading up to our wedding, which he was very good about saying that he had asthma.
Well, I did, because when you're using opiates, it restricts your... I understand.
You had the asthma symptoms, but you didn't have asthma.
Let's
get it straight.
You have not tapped an inhaler since you've got clean, but it's fine. Thank you.
You had drug-induced asthma.
Correct. So going back, while we get back to reality here, still trying to justify, but your sponsor would love this one. But he was really having issues breathing, and I was so, like, stressed about this wedding. So I remember being upstairs and falling asleep on the couch at my parents' house. Now, we were living with my parents because we bought a piece of property to build a house on. So my parents graciously let us live there. So he was downstairs, and I don't know if he had like some sort of I don't know if he took too much or whatever, but again, he said it was asthma, and he's like blowing up my phone, and he couldn't breathe. I heard his voicemail. It was scary. And he like basically crawled up the steps and was like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, and I like ran him into the ER, and as soon as I like pull up, they came running out to grab him out of the car.
I was like,
he was dying. Like he was dying.
But at the time, I don't think I wasn't hot. That used to affect me more, I think, coming down or
like withdrawing or whatever.
More withdrawal.
But anyways, they came out and they were like, is he overdosing? And I said, what? He has asthma. Like, because here I am, dumbass.
I'm in the hospital telling him, I got asthma. Like, I got doctors fooled.
I mean,
like, that's crazy.
But they admitted him. And the nurses, my mom will tell you till this day, were acting very weird because they couldn't tell me anything. I was not his wife yet. HIPAA. Mm-hmm. So they were acting like they looked like they felt bad for me. Like this girl's walking down the aisle in 3 days. And we would fight in the hospital room because I'd be like, what is going on? What is going on? And his heart would go up, and he was on a cardiac floor, so they would make me leave because I made his heart rate go up. My maid of honor, my best friend Ange, was literally cutting his hair for the wedding in the hospital. I have pictures of this. And I'm just like, is he even going to make it to the wedding? And I was sleeping in a hospital room like days leading up to my wedding. It was like kind of getting like, it was weird, And then they were like, okay, he left. And I kept saying asthma. No one was telling me any different. But then I go to find out they really couldn't say anything to me. So literally days leading up to our wedding, he was in a cardiac floor at UPMC East.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But it detoxed me. I was clean for our wedding. I had a couple alcoholic drinks at the wedding, so that was bonus, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
So you get out of the hospital with your asthma symptoms. You get married. What is the first few weeks of marriage like for you guys?
Well, that was honeymoon phase. I felt like we went to Riviera Maya. It had a beautiful honeymoon, hot on the water, butler, like the whole 9 yards.
Steaks.
But Mike then tells me that he used all of our tip money for cocaine down in Mexico. So, and I was
buy it right on the beach in Mexico.
I don't know that either. I was snorkeling like a fish, thinking like, yay,
Scuba Steve. That's what I call it. See the goggles on. Listen.
I was enjoying myself.
A lot of times I tell these stories just so people like realize like where I was.
Oh, yeah. But to be fair, so my phone was in the water when I was trying to do my little snorkeling excursion, and it started like sparking. It was like gone, and I was devastated because I was like, I lost all my pictures, I lost my phone. And I was like, Mike, where are you at? And he's like, finally I found him, and he was doing that, but I didn't know that was where he was at. And he comes around, I said, I need you to go get me some rice. I need to put this phone on ice or rice or whatever. Yeah. I never seen him move so fast. He was buzzing around, and I was like, oh my God. Like, and he was like real caring about it. And it was just wild because I did not know that I thought he was just off getting a drink, and he was.
So you're off snorting coke while she's snorkeling.
Yeah.
To get a frozen pina colada and a bag of cocaine.
Yeah.
Like literally the dude, and you know what's crazy when we were talking about what an addict looks like people know, like not as much anymore, but like even when I first got clean, people like we know each other, right? So like I was like walking on the beach, there's all these people on the beach in Mexico.
And they approach him.
This dude walks right up to me. He's like, hey man, you want to buy a watch or anything? I was like, no, but where's the good stuff at? He's like, pulls out his wallet, opens it up, there's bags of stuff. He's like, what do you want? I was like, so I actually ripped him off. We had a bunch of ones for tips, and he wanted $100 for the drugs, and I think I had 30 ones and maybe a 10. And I was like, dude, I get that for 80 at home or whatever. Like I was trying to bargain with him. And I was like, all right, whatever, here. And I handed it to him. And I was like, because after I got her phone all situated, I remember we were sitting there. Remember I kept covering up because I had tattoos. Dude was walking, looking for me. So I was like, I didn't go near that beach for
Like, Mike,
And
why
here
are you
I-
wearing a long sleeve shirt on our honeymoon?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I said, it was just very bizarre, and like I don't know. In the honeymoon, he was acting like fine though. Like I mean, we was like eating and just
Because
like
I
you know.
wasn't on like the pills or anything. Like that little asthma symptoms thing, like in the hospital, cleaned me up, got me through some detox. You know, got me a little couple days away from the drugs, so I wasn't having them withdrawal symptoms where, you know, you're got it both coming out both ends. The sweats are over. You know, I got it out of my system in that hospital.
So the
We
honeymoon
got
was
married
fine.
and we were good. But
So would you say the honeymoon was fine because you were getting your fix? Would you have been okay without it?
if I would have like been using and just went on the honeymoon and like ran out, it would have been way worse. Like I didn't have the opiate withdrawal symptoms while I was there. I mean, the cocaine deal was haha fun and games. Like just it was more like one of those social like yeah, I got high, but it wasn't.
Because we did go on a trip. Fast forward, and I don't want to jump around. We can get to it. That was bad, and explaining what he's explaining. So we'll get to that.
Las Vegas?
Yeah.
Oof.
All right. Pause. So I'm listening to all this. I'm sympathizing for you, trying to put myself in your shoes. Did you trust anything that Mike said or did, like kind of like after your honeymoon?
No, not directly after, because things went to shit fast after the honeymoon.
So you were kind of blindsided, you know, or I should say you had your blinders on up until that point. So what happens after the honeymoon?
So I worked downtown before pandemic days, work from home days, and I was driving home on the bus because I had to take public transportation. And I started getting blown up on my phone from him after I didn't hear from him all day long at work, saying that the truck is towed, and it's like this whole story about like the truck being towed, and we had like a brand new Ram, and like the truck's it was like this drama. Like you have to give me $200 to get the truck out. Like it was like this whole story, and I am like on a bus. Like what do you want me to do? So I park, I get home, he gets the truck out, I see him at the house, and from this day on was it for me. It was a downhill struggle from here. I got home, and he was in the truck, and he wouldn't get out of the truck, and I was home before him. My dad looked out the window, and he said, "What is he doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what is he doing?" And he's like, I don't, like, what is he doing? What is he actually on? Like, and that was like, and I was like, I don't know. So I ran outside, and I still have this picture in my phone to this day. Don't know why. But I opened up the door, and he's literally like leaned over the steering wheel, like lunch in his hand. That was like probably one of like the saddest things I've ever seen in my life. And, he was all like this, and he like walked into the game room. He like dropped his pants, went in the shower, and my mom like was like, I said, I don't know what is going on with him. And like he's obviously, I said, what are you on? Like you are on something. Now I physically seen it. Like I've never seen that.
That was bad. I was bad.
It was bad. And my mom picked up his pants, went through his like pockets, and she found a hospital like release form of some sort with like.
You want me to tell you the story about?
Well,
what?
You could say like what you actually did that day, but like that's my point of view of it. Like he was in the hospital, and it said like what he was on right on the paper, and it was like all this stuff, and it hit me like instantly that he was doing something. Yeah.
I was going to tell you how crazy I was at that point. So what happened? I don't even know if I ever told you the full story, but we're going to tell it now,
Okay.
right? So I remember that day we were, I guess I did, I don't even know if I was working, but I do remember getting a bunch of drugs, like a whole bunch, like to sell, to make some money to get my own. And I'm pretty sure I took a few Xanax that day.
Mm-hmm, that was on the paper.
And I started driving. And I remember like being like, whoa. And at this point, I think I was like on and off. So it wasn't like I was getting high every day where I had a real high tolerance. And I just remember this lady yelling at me, and she's like, "You're in my yard." And I was like, I'm just going to take a little rest here. Next thing I know, the cops were arresting me. And I was like, dude, I remember just like melting. Like the cops were holding me up. I was just melting. Now, I was driving a truck. I must have just pulled right over in this lady's front yard in the South Hills. I was going to take a nap. Now, I got a federal offense amount of heroin on me and Xanax in the cup holder with a loaded handgun, and I'm getting arrested. This is the crazy part. I woke up. I remember that. I woke up at Jefferson Hospital, and I was like, what's going on? Like, and this is hours later, because she didn't talk to me or anything. They gave me my phone, my hat, my wallet, and everything, the keys to the truck, and they let me go. I'm like, what in the hell? Walked out the front door. I'm looking. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, did that really happen? Truck's nowhere to be found. That's when I called her. And now I don't want her to know what really happened. So I called her. I said, oh, the truck got towed. I parked it in the wrong place.
And I had a
She
locator.
GPS'd.
Yeah.
It was at the impound yard. Luckily, some dude just drove by. He's like, hey, what? You all right? And I was like, no, my truck's at the, down here. And so he rode me down, got the money, got the truck out. All the drugs, everything's gone. My guns are gone. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So, like, I never said nothing because I'm like, I'm either going to go to jail for a long time, prison. Maybe I'll just keep it quiet. And, like, remember, they had my gun forever. I was like 6,
They
8
never
months.
did anything.
I
Like,
went
this
and got
dude
my-
had a horseshoe shoved up his ass
I went and
the
got my
entire addiction.
handgun at the police station, Baldwin Police Station. I went there after I was cleaning everything, had all my shit squared away. I walked in. I was like, hey, I need to pick up my gun. Like, what's your name? Told my name and everything. Brought my gun out. And my gun, and I left. Where did all that stuff go?
Mind blown. It's
But,
probably
like,
confiscated, but they didn't charge him. Like,
I don't know. But anyway, that's what happened that day. That was like one of the first times that I guess you could call it I guess I was overdosing or just like, passing out from taking too many drugs if you want.
But that was
say it
like
a nice
day
way.
one of the worst year of my life. Like, year and a half. About a year and a half.
Yeah.
That was day one. And then now I knew what it was. Now I needed, what it was at that time. It got even worse.
So you come home off of your bender that you got a get out of jail free card for, literally.
Yeah.
You find the evidence of what was in his system at the hospital. How does your life go from there? Now that you know, it's concrete, he's using.
Trust is gone. Obviously, it was already not fully there because of the stories, but it was gone, and the relationship just got really bad, like instantly bad. I said, we need to figure out what you want to do here to get help or whatever that looks like, and that's when things started with like going to outpatient, and we would try that, and then he would try the Suboxone thing, and it would be, and then I knew what Suboxone was, but not fully even. So like, I was like almost okay with the Suboxone because
it wasn't the other
it
stuff.
wasn't the other stuff.
But it kept me off of the stuff and kept me from spending the other amount of money
Right.
for a little while.
But you still have an addiction. It's just to something
Yeah,
else.
absolutely.
Exactly. And that's what I didn't realize. So as I started to learn a little bit, now I'm going to try to find my own help, my own stuff. And, anybody that's like, in this position, find your own help. Because if you don't, this could go on forever. And because if it wasn't, and I will toot my own horn with this, if it wasn't for me going to go find my own help, he was probably going to be in either prison or dead at this point. And because if I didn't set those hard boundaries that I had to learn, and we'll get to that, it was, I don't know if he would still be doing it or, definitely not here today. But I would look into support groups and reach out to people and really try, but I still kept it sort of in my own place. I wasn't as open as I am, obviously right now, telling it to the world. I sort of just kept it because I didn't want anybody to think badly of him, because if he got help, I didn't want to think that he was a bad guy. He was going through something, whatever.
That's scary as an addict too. I mean, that's stuff that we work through, but
yeah. And
what's everyone gonna think? Once that made it hard for me to completely accept the fact that what I was, that I was a drug addict.
Because he did. So fast forward, like, so we get through this phase of trying to figure out what recovery looks like for him, right? And that puts us really at October-ish 2017, like end of September, beginning of October 2017. He finally decides, I'm going to do inpatient. And that was relieving for me at the time. Got into a great place called Glen Bay. It's a Cleveland Clinic affiliate out in Ohio in Rock Creek. And and it was a wonderful facility. And it was really hard for me because, like, newly married and driving my husband to rehab. But I did the family group like every week, cooked food. I went up there. I supported it. We went through counseling there. Everything seemed great up there. And I think you...
And it was. I love that place.
And he did well.
That's not my clean date. I went back out after that. But that was the first time I went there, one of two. And I learned a lot. Yeah. Just took in a bunch of stuff.
But... there's differences between this last time that he went and is here today versus that time where the second we got out, he's like, oh, you're going to drive my Mustang up. So I can't, like, he was worried about everything, but like the right thing. He was worried about his Mustang, his cell phone, like all of the things that's like, okay, so I drove his Mustang up, he's like fast driving out of the parking lot, just like, and I'm like, okay, like
being a show,
like that's ugly. Like you're in rehab.
All my buddies in there.
Yeah, like I'm like, you're in rehab, dude. Like, I mean, let's be real. So we drive home and we like 5 days. So I actually twirl for the Pitt alumni game every year. So like you went to the alumni game, he went to my Non's house and had spaghetti dinner on Sunday the next day, like, and he's singing his recovery song and he's like, I mean, he's just like in it. Like I'm like, oh, he looks great. He has all this weight on. Next day, he said he felt like a little off and he was like, oh, I want to go to one of my meetings. I need to go to one of my meetings. Then he was like, maybe I shouldn't go to a meeting. And he was going like back and forth if he should go to one of his like NA meetings. And I was like, well, that was a part of the deal. Like you have to do something like a 12-step program or whatever, like free and clean, working on yourself. And he went to a meeting and I didn't hear from him afterwards. And I'm like, where did he go? Like, what is he doing? And then I guess you can kind of pick up from there because whenever you finally called me, you were in an ambulance.
I woke up in an ambulance. I went to a meeting, met a dude, rode him home, got some dope off him, shot up one bag of dope.
And it was
fentanyl probably.
Yep.
And I haven't done it. I was like 30 some days clean. But I put the needle in my arm and my car was running. I had a Cobra Mustang in gear, foot on the clutch, just sitting in the parking lot, getting ready to pull out, bang some heroin. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in the back of an ambulance. 2 cops at my feet, and they're like looking at me, and I just started laughing. And they're like, bro, like, what are you laughing at? You just OD'd. We just, you were dead. We Narcaned you 4 or 5 times. And I was like, my wife's going to kill me. I was worried. I was like, she's going to kill me. Like, I just got out of rehab, dude. That's what I told the cops. And they're like, well, today's your lucky day. And
I mean, he was flatlined.
They gave me my keys. They rode me to the hospital. But I called her. And that was the first time I was, like, ever honest about anything. I was like, this is it. I OD'd. And she's like, what? I'm like, we're going to Forbes.
Now, remember, though, I'm still, it's not just only pills because addiction is addiction. But I didn't know it was heroin at the time. So when I get to the hospital, I walk in, my mom's with me, and I'm sitting there and he's just like all like with his little heart things on. And I'm just like for real. He
probably had zero sympathy at this point.
No, I hated him.
She looked like the Tasmanian Devil when she came. I'll never forget.
Well, I literally closed, I was silent. I didn't yell. I didn't do anything. It was almost like I was possessed by the devil. I literally just shut the door, with the curtains, so no one saw, no one heard. And I turned around because the second I found out it was heroin, I literally pounced on the hospital bed, closed fist, and just hard punching him, and to the point where my mom's like pulling me off, and I was like, you blah 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 blah. And then he like, I left. I like went out into the parking lot. He left. Like everyone's like leaving. It was a complete cluster. Complete cluster.
So I want to talk about your family real quick. I was married into an Italian family for over 10 years. I know how an Italian family works. What did your family think of Mike? They could not have been fans.
No. No. I mean, my cousin would call him like and literally ream him. My brother tried fighting you in a gas station parking lot. It was bad when I tell you, like, not fans. You know, it was just really bad. Like, they didn't know what to do with this. Like, he's married into the family, and here we are. But it was really, really bad.
It's crazy that being the way I was, and like, you think people would be like, they obviously know what I'm doing, straight up calling me a piece of shit. And it just, I had them blinders on. I just wanted to get high at that time, dude. That's all I was worried
At that
about.
point, he was just so deep into it.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, that's all I could see was like, where was I going to get the next drink or drug? Like, I just wanted to get high.
There were so many moments that I thought, he's going to get this. Like, for instance, he's in rehab that time, like the time before he overdosed, like right after. And I called him because me and my girlfriends went to Vegas. And we were right at the Vegas shooting, you know, so we weren't in the concert, but we were at the airport, and they shut everything down, and we were delayed, and we had to fly. It was really scary because at the time when you're in a shooting situation, nobody knows if there's another shooter. Are they in the airport? The news didn't even catch it, you know? So we're in this like Vegas shooting moment, and he's in rehab, and I can't even get a hold of him. Yeah. So I'm literally calling the nurse. People are calling their loved ones, crying in the airport, saying like, there's a shooter. Like, it's wild. And I'm calling, and I said, I need to talk to my husband because I don't know what I'm into right now, you know? And they pulled him out of bed, and they said, you know, there was a shooting in Vegas, and then he almost like fell out of bed, and he said he had this like come to God moment. And like, what's disheartening is that like, he thought like it was like something happened to me in Vegas, something, you know.
And I did.
And he did.
It was crazy.
But I thought those things would mean something, you know, that he wouldn't come out and literally flatline 5 days out of rehab. So those moments like were really hard for me to get by because I'm thinking, I thought these were your come to God moments, and you're still out there, and it's now deeper than ever. So we even tried after you, was it after you got out of rehab we went to Vegas?
Yeah.
Was it? Or was it before you went to rehab?
That was before.
It was before rehab.
Well, yeah.
It was right before rehab. Right before he went to rehab that time.
Because you went back. It was right before.
Yeah, because I went to Vegas with him, and then I went back with my friends while he was in rehab. That's what it was. And so we were at the airport and going to Vegas, and I remember him going to the bathroom, coming through TSA. He's at the gate, and this lady's like talking to him, like, oh, how you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, where are you guys going? He has like his sunglasses on, his like little neck pad thing, and he's like sleeping. And I'm like,
well, I got nervous and did my stash.
He did the whole stash before he went to TSA, and I'm thinking I'm thinking he's on Suboxone with outpatient therapy, and he did his whole stash like right before TSA.
Can we? I want to just sum up the story because I laugh, and it's good to tell the stories about using and stuff just so people will understand where I'm coming from and maybe they can relate. But it all through them times, like going there, when you're using, you'll do whatever it takes to get the next one. Like I keep saying. So like I was in a program taking Suboxone, literally buying bottles of pee off people that had Suboxone in it so that I could cheat the pee test there. She thinks I'm on Suboxone, and then I can sell the Suboxone and buy dope. Like that's the kind of crazy world we live in.
But he would that trip was awful because like he said earlier in our conversation that, you know, it would have been worse if he took everything and then crashed. We crashed the whole trip,
Yeah,
and it was really
ugly.
bad. And we had like a Stingray Corvette out there, and like it was like supposed to be like this really good trip. And it wasn't like Vegas, like going to like the club Vegas. It was like we were sightseeing like around Vegas. So it wasn't like we went to a place.
Yeah, we
that
didn't
was,
drink
We
or
didn't drink.
anything.
No,
Nothing.
like we went and got ice cream. Like it was like we were trying to have a cool, relaxing weekend. And it didn't he just was in bed all the time. And I was like, this isn't just a box. That's whenever he went to rehab. And then this kind of brings.
I say we fast forward to
Mm-hmm.
where I went to treatment this time because we've been talking a lot about all the crazy bad things that I
Well,
did.
the worst part I think that happened was I kicked him out,
Yeah.
and I think that's what led into like the worst of 2018. I got to the point around New Year's that it was like, I can't do this anymore. And I kicked him out. And he was then living in his car, showering at Planet Fitness, you name it. Like he stayed at extended stays, got a little apartment by himself, and things were just, and then I was at that point going to file for a divorce.
And at that point, I was at the end of the road too. I was like sick and tired of being and doing what I was doing. Like, I remember days just driving by and seeing people like washing their boat in the driveway or their Harley, and I'm like, oh, dude, like, that's what I want. Like I was getting to that point. Like, it was time to like maybe really accept the fact of what I am and like get cleaned up. But I obviously was still using. She found some stuff just to fast forward it and get through all this stuff because I mean, I don't mind sharing it, but she found some stuff. We were doing. I was living in a little apartment. We would go over and do movie night, this and that. Slept over and at her parents' house, and she found my stash in the morning, and I went on a run, whole tobacco shit show. They did an intervention. At the point, I still wasn't ready to like hear them tell me what I was. And then a kid that I was in treatment with the year before, the first time I went to Glen Bay, called me. He's like, dude, if you're not gonna like do this, give it an honest shot, like get a sponsor, work the program, go to meetings, all that stuff. Like, just lose my number, dude. You're gonna be a loser. That like really hit me because like he was an addict just like me. I know because we related to each other in the last time we were in treatment. And I was like, all right. So I ended up going back to Glen Bay, and that's whenever I was just like, let's do this, dude. Let's get it on. Like, I'm gonna give this thing a shot. Like, everything that was suggested to me by like people that got clean and stayed clean, that's what I was doing. Whatever the heck it was, I was doing it.
And where I think things helped was I was going to a family support group every Thursday, and I was getting all the education and help that I needed. As hard as it was, I knew when he came out of treatment, he wasn't coming back to my parents' house. So that was a little bit of a one-day argument while he was in rehab. But I said, you're not coming. He's like, where am I living? I said, well, your apartment's gone, and it looks like the only option is sober living. So not only did I not live with him most of 2018 because of active addiction, but I put my foot down that I wasn't living with him at all, and even after rehab.
And that's one of the main things I think that got us and built us up to have a strong relationship was me doing all these things, and that included 1 year of sober living. And like the first month, there's no overnights. Sign in and out. You're very accountable there. They gives you some structure. Which
You can
we're not
work
used to.
and you can do all
I
the
would
things.
Go to work. I actually had my mom ride me to work for like the first 2 weeks.
He didn't want a cell phone of his own.
Yeah,
I was like shocked. Like it was not even the same
I left my
person.
cell phone at rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Did sober living. They tell you to do 90 12-step meetings in 90 days. I did like 120. Dude, I was literally like going like a couple a night because we couldn't do anything else. I was at the sober house, and then it started where we like have 1 day a week. I think we could like stay over or something, and we just started almost like we started dating again.
It was probably the best moment of our entire relationship.
It was actually really cool.
It was like dating again.
It was exactly.
Mm-hmm. And it was really nice. We had like date nights, and we would go away some weekends when you earned it. And then eventually he ended up becoming the manager of the sober house, where he was like checking other people. And I was like, okay, like he's really showing a lot of stuff. And then there was a lot of things that I had strong boundaries for. I said, I want power of attorney. I want like to be able to close down a bank account without you know what I mean? In case you do this again, like I can't, because we had like hardly nothing left. You know what I mean? Like it was like he wiped out everything, all of our wedding money. Like he wiped out so much. And so I had him sign like power of attorney. I had him do so many different things, like while he was like in rehab. There was a notary there for them to do it. Like, I mean, I was not effing around when I tell you. Like, I was strong, like stronger than I've ever been.
Before, I wouldn't have done any of that. I would have argued. I would have ran out. Like this time was like whatever. Like I'm willing to do whatever is necessary to get clean and figure out my life and rebuild my life.
So you were at the point, Mike, where you essentially hated yourself.
Oh my gosh.
You hated what you became, and it was just time. You had had enough of living that addict life. And so I don't want to say you made the decision, but you kind of made the decision.
Well,
kind of have to on your own.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I did it for me.
Yeah.
Not to make her happy, not to make anybody else happy. Like I literally was sick and tired of who I was. Like, dude, I thought I was a loser. Yeah. Like right up to the bitter end there, I thought, dude, I'm cool, dude. I party. Like, no, dude, I was a loser.
So you see these interventions. You see all of these people trying to reach out to help you. It doesn't do any good unless you want to be helped, right?
Yep. I mean, I can, if you're using drugs, I could sit and tell you, go get help. I mean, nothing I say is going to change that. It's like, you got to make that decision.
What would you tell an addict that doesn't want to be helped?
I don't know. I can remember like guys, like once I got clean, a guy I know has like 30 some years, and I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me about this, being clean thing? I was like 6 months clean. Why didn't you tell me about this when you met me 6-7 years ago? He's like, you would have never heard me. He's like, it doesn't matter. When it's your time, it's your time, And I don't know, like if you're sick and tired of being who you are, like you got to be willing to make a change. Like you got to make a decision, surrender. You got to put your hands up and say, listen, I don't know nothing about living life, because we didn't. I don't know how to save money. I don't know how to live a manageable life. I didn't know how to like have an apartment, a house, nothing. I had to like learn all that stuff.
How old are you at this point?
Oh, I'm horrible at ages. 30. Well, October 24th will be 6 years clean and sober for me.
And that was from 2018. So
you're in your mid 30s. You're a grown ass man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was in my mid 30s when I started trying to dabble in getting clean. Like when I started like getting little tidbits of what recovery is.
You were like your late 30s whenever it was your clean date.
It's a long time. You figure like 15, 16, I started smoking weed and drinking some beers, and like maybe like them high school years getting a little wilder and wilder. I mean, all the way to my mid 30s. Like,
so you literally spent more than half of your life using.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Does it scare you that you're ever going to revert back?
I can't let it. Do I know that I know that I can. It could be as much as drinking a glass of that bourbon right there, and
6 years is gone.
Yeah, like I'll drink a glass of that bourbon and we might leave here and you're gonna go to bed and she's gonna go to bed. I'm gonna sneak out, and in a couple of days I'm in Mexico doing cocaine, riding a donkey, and like it's a whole. I mean, I know where it takes me.
Even though alcohol wasn't his problem, he won't drink now. He will not drink.
No, you can't. Alcohol is a drug too to me. Like it's a mood or mind alternating substance.
Sure.
So like I said, a couple drinks. Next thing I know, maybe tomorrow morning I wake up, I'm like, oh, I got a little headache, but I know it'll make that feel better. That's how my mind works.
So you're always ready for those feelings. Are you kind of like always prepared to like defend them?
No, like none of this stuff bothers me anymore. Drugs, you could lay a pound of heroin and cocaine on this table and I wouldn't shed a tear or sweat, nothing. What's crazy is where I'm at in my recovery now is how the disease of addiction shows up in other aspects of my life. And that's what I'm currently working on. Money and money, power, prestige, and ego and stuff like that. So I got to be very careful, but it's not just, I'm addicted to whatever will make me feel good. Whether it's buying more fishing rods, there's so many things.
So it's an obsessive.
He has,
Personality.
he has
Yep.
an addictive
Yeah,
personality.
it's obsessive compulsive behaviors.
Now, Angela, are you ever afraid that he's going to go back to his old ways?
There's always that chance. I'm never going to say never because that would be very naive to think that he's like cured. You don't cure this. There's no cure. But just like, and they said they compared this in my family support group, teach you how it is. If he goes and does his 12-step program, he has his sponsor, he has these things in place. It's almost like defense. So just like if, God forbid, a cancer patient doesn't go get their chemo, they're not going to get well or get in remission, So, his meetings and his sponsor and the 12 steps and the things like that, they're doing things that, are his medicine almost. That is his medicine. So if he continues to do that, that's good. And a lot of times, and he'll tell you this, is like the relapse happens before the relapse. So if you have those thoughts, he calls a sponsor, and, his sponsor is very close to him. So it's, I don't worry about it every day anymore. Like that's something that I don't worry about with him every day. There's been times where like we would argue or whatever because life has been wild for us recently since he's got clean. And I think there's been a couple moments where it kind of scared me. But that's when he was like, you know what, I need to go more consistent to my meetings. So I'm not going to say I've never been frightened in 6 years, because that would be a lie. But going back to the feelings I used to have and going to work and not sure if he was alive or, dead, going to work, I don't like those days. I remember how I felt during those days. It wasn't healthy even for me. It was really bad.
It's the last thing on my mind. Using, drinking.
Good.
I don't wake up and think about it.
Good.
I got way better things to do. I just try to constantly like just stay in contact and just ask God to help me, ask God to whatever, pray, talk to people in recovery. Like she said, my sponsor. I told him the other day, I feel bad because I don't call with all these problems because you go to you'll hear people complaining a lot. Sometimes people with 10, 15 years clean and sober oh, blah, blah, blah. I almost want to make up a problem. But I don't really have them problems. We have good problems.
Yeah, they're and it's hard. It seems like the second he got clean. So the second he got clean and he managed a sober house, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to build our house, on our property.
We signed snowball quick.
Yeah, well, we signed papers. He moved out of the sober house, and the world shut down. This was March 2020.
Yes.
March 2020 was when we signed our papers to build our house. Mm-hmm. And he moved back in with my parents. My parents cannot get rid of him, okay? So
it was good for us.
But it was closer to the land because he did all of the utilities. He did all the site work for our land. I mean, he had a lot of land to move. I mean, we have almost 4 acres. So it's he did everything, and it was closer to my parents' house. So it worked out. But from the time we built our house and moved in 2021, we started a fishing charter business. In 2021, I decided to do real estate. So I got my license. Right in the beginning of 2022, I got my license. He was getting his captain's license, the U.S. Coast Guard certified captain's license. So he went to school for that. So we bought a camp, bought a boat, just started to live life. And it was almost making up for lost time. We just dove right into it. Then, a year later, we're diving into real estate, and there's a lot of things that, investors need and things like that he could work on. So he started a little side thing doing waterproofing, concrete, things like that. So he just dove into everything. And then we're oh, well, we can take more people out if we get a bigger boat. So we got a bigger boat. We traded in our camper.
Looking back, it was it's been
a while. So it's it has not stopped. But during all of this, good stuff, because that's what you work for. You work to have a nice life, nice things and stuff like that. We decided we wanted to renew our vows because, was stolen. That moment was stolen from me, whether or no, whatever way you want to slice it, it was stolen from me. So I know it seems so silly to get back into a wedding dress and do things, but we did it casually. We did it on Lake Erie, place we love, where our business is. And it was such a moment to see his emotions and really, truly break down.
Anyway, I don't even know what to say. So yes, 5 years ago, I'm almost 5 years clean and sober. Angela I've met a long time. Only by the grace of God and my wife. She stuck with me, and for a long time I didn't know why. And now I do, because she loves me, and I know that. And I'm just so blunt. I don't even know. Seriously, I wanted to write down vows, but for me, that's just so corny. And I just want to say something. Angela works so hard, and sometimes I become so ungrateful, and it's really easy whenever everything's going good. But like this girl, I wouldn't have half of what I have without her, because she keeps me in check. Like, we're opposite personalities most of the time, and we can bicker and argue, but we get shit done.
And literally, everything washed out of him. Like, it just, the tears, the vows that he didn't even write. I
drew a little fishy in my vow book.
He drew a fish in his vow book.
I didn't want to write anything like.
Then he drew a house and said, "This is what I do, and this is what you do." And I'm like, "You're like a 2-year-old," but okay.
But I didn't want it to be all
It was just very organic.
I just wanted to just say the way I felt, and that was the first time. Even after being clean for a while, when you're using, you don't have all them, you don't feel them feelings and emotions. You're taking drugs and stuff to cover all that stuff up so you don't have to deal with it. And even being clean for a while, I've cried. I've been ups and downs. But that was really hit me, where I was just grateful, taking it all in. My mom was there, the lake, it almost when you're gonna, in a movie, you'd see someone dying or your life flashes before you. That's what happened. I just seen everything that I gained in the last couple of years, and I was
we made sure he
holy cow.
We made sure his mom danced with him to their song Simple Man, and they did it was just nice to have.
It was cool.
It was just really cool, but in the middle of all that, I said, we were starting businesses, and we both have full-time jobs.
I had a charter that morning.
Yeah, before he went down the aisle.
And the next day. So I literally was on the lake fishing, came back, dropped the customers off, cleaned their fish, sent them on their way down 79,
and got in
shower, put my outfit on, my cowboy hat, and drove over to the
that's so
venue.
Our lives now, and it's wild, and I just I see what our life is now, and it is very chaotic, because we both have full-time jobs, and we both have businesses, and then we kind of have one together, and it's very hard sometimes, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on us. And then people that want to kind of tear him down a little bit, or and I'm thinking, he worked his ass off for 6 years, let's not try to make him out to be the person that he was 6 years ago.
There's always going to be them people,
so that's kind of the unfortunate part, about seeing him grow.
Yeah.
Some people do want to see. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of close people in your life, have wanted.
There's a lot of people that want to see you succeed, but there's also them people that you think might want to see you succeed, but don't.
I mean, there's certain family that he has that would rather see him high just to make them feel better.
It's almost they want the old me, they want to take, they wanted me to ask him for money. I don't need to ask you for money.
Right.
Sometimes I want to get real cocky and arrogant because I listen to some of these different motivational speakers and I don't need to sit at your table. I'm gonna build my own. That's the kind of stuff that goes through my head. But
he stays grounded with it.
I try to stay humble. I do, because it could all go away. One drink could take all that. I'll sell that boat tomorrow.
Yeah. So you're talking about money. You brought it up, and I wanted to ask about finances. So, you're spending everything on your addiction, living at your parents, and now you have a lot of assets. How did you build up the ability to do that?
I'm cheap.
She's the banker. She's the cheap ass.
I will keep everything reeled in. So
when I first got clean, I literally didn't even have anything. I would take my paycheck. I'd go to PNC. I would sign it over, deposit into the account,
my own, like
her account, and I would keep like 100 or whatever, like my allowance, and that was fine. I went to meetings, bought energy drinks, Copenhagen. And that's how we started. We just started building our savings back up, building our savings. Well, we both obviously work with.
We work. It wasn't like it was just like my money or something. You know, it was, he would put the money in the account every week that just had my name on it, because there been so many times that his name was still attached to it. So I'd literally have to go to the bank and say, like, my card was stolen in order for me to shut it down without him on it. It was like I had to find loopholes, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore. And it's comical, because to this day it's kind of still the same.
Still the same.
But like
money just goes in the account. She tells me what we have and what I can spend. If it's a big purchase, we discuss it and
sometimes discuss it. Sometimes I get surprised with some fishing things that I don't know about on Fridays. But
they give it to me.
It's a write-off.
It's a write-off.
Full of shit. Literally full of shit. But
you can write it off.
There is write off. Right? Yeah. But anyways, I just started saving, and things started like growing, and then I was like, okay, we can do this, we can do that, so we can get a boat, but we can only spend this much on the boat. We can do this, but we can only spend this much on it. Whether or not he likes to hear that or not, that's the way it is. But then the charter started. But then, like, being a new business owner ourselves, like, you know, I didn't realize like how much goes into starting a business. A lot of people think that, like, oh, you're making that much on every charter. They don't think about the gas, the marina fees. It's so much money to start a business. But once you do, you know, this year is the first year that, you know, kind of starting to see, you know,
a little bit of return.
Yeah. And then
we so last year I had charters booked for the year with the old boat.
Because we upgraded our boat
used X amount of dollars of gas. You know, say it costs $65, $70 in gas to do a trip. So we went and bought this new boat. Well, I have all these trips. I can't be like, all right, listen, we got this new big boat. We got to. So I just ran it, sucked it up. Here, this new boat, you know, when we're running way out at the end of summer, we're talking $120, $130, $140 double. We had to eat that.
And then the marina was expensive. So it's just a lot of expense going into it. And then even starting like a little construction thing, you know, that's expensive.
Buying
tools and things like that. And then me starting real estate. It was like, it was very hard because like doing real estate's not free. I mean, you have like broker fees, you have all of the things. So it's not like free to be an agent.
And our taxes got really complicated.
Yeah.
We had to get an accountant.
And you know, sometimes it's like, you know, instead of us talking about like what normal husband and wives talk about, you know, it's almost feeling like business meetings.
Business partners.
I mean, and it's like
it's
hard sometimes though. I mean, it is. I
still like her.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes.
Guess so.
It does work, but yeah, I mean, more often than not, like when we go to dinner, like our date night, we end up talking about, you know, whether it be something future that we're looking to, you know, invest or start into, or what's currently going on, and
like there's things that we want to like keep growing with. I mean, he's doing well with the charter. I mean, he's booked every weekend.
1 out of 10 fishing charter, but.
I'll
come out with
everything. Don't worry about it.
Sure.
Yeah,
we catch the biggest fish in the lake.
But so ego.
No, that's confidence.
No, but it is confidence. I'm glad he has it because he didn't have it for a long time. But yeah, the fishing charter is. I mean, it's an addiction. So there's times that it is, because let me just tell you a quick one. So we started this charter because we would go out on my dad's like sport boat. Like he had like an open bow sport boat. Roll out of the water, fun, like, you know, kind of boat. We took a board, like a literal board, and we put,
I grew up fishing on Lake Erie.
Yes.
This is what kind of sparked this interest. Like,
yes.
I don't want people to think like, well, we just started doing this.
No, he grew up with doing like the downriggers.
We wanted
like
to do something fun. So I built this board, me and her dad, like literally the most ghetto setup. It was cool. It worked.
It has like PVC pipe, in a board.
Rod holders, and we would strap it on the back.
It's like ratchet strap back. And
this pleasure boat. And we would
go. We took the seat out, and so Mike would stand in a box and basically fish in like the sport boat. But we did well with it. Like we killed all. Like we had limits all the time on this thing, and it was literally like 4 board.
I forgot how fun this is, and like we're real.
And then I started thinking, I was like, well, wait a minute, how much do these charter people make? Like every time you do this, like, so it started to like develop from this thing that my dad had on the back of his boat, but I knew his addictive behavior with it because these storms come into Lake Erie, like they're like water spouts on the lake, and the wind. I mean, people die on Lake Erie. I mean,
But the fish were biting.
But the fish were biting, and he would be damned if he was not.
Talk about putting the blinders on about like that obsessive behavior. So like fish wandering. These two, I can hear them. I'm catching fish. I'm filling the court. We're almost done.
You could die.
And the waves are getting bad. I turn around. Her and her dad got life vest on. Her dad's all wet from the waves splashing. And he's like, "We gotta go." I was like, "All right, let's go."
But he wanted one more, and that's the one more drug, one more. That's the one more that Mike still has to work on with his sponsor, I think. So
I'm never gonna be perfect. I always gotta work on stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what sparked it though. And we went and bought our own boat and.
How our name started, the one eye at a time.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So in recovery, we say one day at a time. You live like one day at a time. And I was like, oh, so walleyes, we call them eyes. A lot of people do. So it's like, oh, one eye at a time.
That's perfect.
So it seemed a little bit long, but like it works. And I tell you what, like,
it's catchy.
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to recognize us now. So it's pretty cool.
And the boat was that we bought before we changed the name to One Eye at a Time was called Real Estate.
Before
I even had my license. I didn't
R-E-E-L.
even was interested at the time. Like I was like dabbling with the idea. It was REEL. Yeah. And I was so when we go back to look at the old boat, Real Estate was on the boat before we peeled it off, made One Eye at a Time, did our little ceremony thing that they do. And then the home business is also a recovery.
Just for the
home, just for today. So everything's recovery related, and he shares that with all his customers, like they all know.
Yeah, I'm very open about my recovery. So when the funny thing is like when I first got clean, we did a bunch of stuff with like these Narcan pamphlets. My picture's still on them. Narcan giveaway.
The buses.
The Pat buses. She rides the bus in and out of work. Well, she did, and like I was inside there, like picture of me. And it said local treatment work for me, Allegheny Department of Health. And I was like, can you imagine like the drug dealers that I burned? They're probably like, there's that motherfucker there.
But at the same time, it held him like accountable.
Yes,
like
made me very accountable.
all of these like things that I'm glad that he put himself out there so much, like pictures on bus and stuff like that. And then other people would be like, oh, that's bragging or whatever. Like, but it was honestly holding him accountable.
That's pressure for you to keep.
Pressure.
Yeah.
That's a serious
life.
pressure.
Yeah, I'm giving other people hope, and I'm making myself accountable. Because if I'm like at a bar when I drink, I'm like, dude, aren't you in that bot? You know what I mean? And like, I don't.
Like he would look like a straight asshole if like you literally are doing stuff and being on a bus.
I was sick and tired of being that guy. So
it's funny you say that because I have my personal training business and I maintain myself because I don't want to look like that washed out fat trainer that doesn't look like they work out. I'm just saying, like, I want to be a picture of what I'm selling, right? And you're doing the same thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's been really wild. Very long road.
But really, like, I just keep thinking, like, all these stories we just talked about, and like, it makes me grateful for what I have, for sure.
I know you probably talk about this stuff occasionally. How does it make you feel to keep reliving it?
It don't make me feel any sort of way. It just some stories that we told here I haven't heard in a while, but like whenever I speak, like early on in recovery a few years ago, I would like speak. I just spoke a couple months ago at a rehab facility, and I like to tell a couple of them stories just to kind of spark someone that maybe just came into treatment, kind of like let them see the similarities. I don't want them to say, oh, look at that dude, he's like dressed nice or drives a nice truck or what, you know what I'm saying? And then they're like, they can't relate.
Yeah.
I'm out of reach. So I'd like throw out a couple of them stories and they're like, yeah, some normal dude ain't going to tell that story. Like, you did what? Yeah, man, me too. Like, I OD too. And like, as crazy as it sounds, that could be like the little switch that hits in his head and says, dude, I want to do what that guy's doing. All right, well, if you want what I got, you got to do what I do. Here's what I did. I'll tell him, and then that's his opportunity to do what I do.
And you said relatable. That's why I had this podcast. It's because my guests are relatable. I don't look up to influencers and millionaires, billionaires. Like I can't relate to that, and they actually annoy me. not like jealousy wise, but I'm just like, they don't even know
Like what
it's
the
like to go
problem.
paycheck
Yeah.
to paycheck or, you
Yeah.
know, whatever.
Right.
So you telling your story is going to relate to just like the people that are going to your meetings. They're like, oh, that was me. Oh, yeah, I passed out in my truck before. Oh, yeah, I've been in the hospital. I've lied to my wife. Like, and that's what's going to help those people. So I'm glad. I don't want you to feel like you were being targeted during this conversation. I knew that it was going to be a lot of what we talked about.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I don't want you to feel like, you know, the victim being beat up, but people need to hear it.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you're able to talk about it so openly says a lot about you. And yeah, you chuckle about it because, you know, that's kind of how you cope with it now, right? You have to be lighthearted about it. So I thank you for that. That takes a lot of courage.
Thanks for having us, for sure. And I'm glad we got to share some of that. And I hope somebody, you know, gets something out of it. And
I just think a lot of people don't think that we call them recovery rewards are really in reach. And it's crazy to see from like 2020 to where we're at now. So it's only been 4 years. And the difference of where we're at, like we've been always wanting to go to Montana. We go there all the time now. Like, it's like we can go and do these things, you know, because of recovery. You know, it's like every recovery reward, like I said, whatever way people want to look at it, like, oh, it's material, they're bragging, there's, you know, one-upping, whatever.
we don't brag at all.
Let everyone think that,
Sure.
you know what I mean? That's fine. But you also don't remember, you don't really see that I was, getting calls that my husband died in Flatline. Like, you don't know what struggle we had to take to get there. All they see is the material, and people want to tear down. And it's like, that's not fair because you don't know where we came from. And for the last 4 years, it's like so rewarding to see, like all of our dreams, like coming
To fruition,
real.
yeah.
And my family too. I mean,
Yeah.
think about the godson thing.
Oh yeah, so like before I got clean, like my brother-in-law, we told you that like he was gonna try to fight me, and I would have dropped him. But I'm just saying on phone, like I would have dropped for you, Robert.
With the Christmas with Step Brothers, I'll tell Robert I'm gonna fuck him up.
You know, once I got clean, they seen what I did and the way I was living, and that my godson Antonio, that's my nephew Antonio. So they asked us to be the godparents, and I was like, how crazy is that? That's like real recovery rewards. Like the material things are material
But
things.
that was like the
most
biggest recovery reward I've seen. I literally was bawling because
first is being free from active addiction,
Right,
obviously.
right.
Like I'm living a good life. I feel good about myself. I'm happy to be where I'm at. And then like my nephew.
family.
Yep.
And then we have a
family.
second nephew we're going to be baptizing too. It's like, it's just
I
so...
make him call me the Godfather. So,
Yeah. And then these
you
kids
would.
just like look at him like,
Yeah.
you're nuts, Uncle Mike. But yeah, I mean, we want to be able to obviously have our own kids someday. And, you know, we lost children already. You know, we've been struggling. So hopefully we can give these things and we have like a nice life for our kids to like kind of enter into. They have a camp and they have a boat and they can go fishing with dad. And, you know, yeah, it's just, it would be nice to share that with a child. And I didn't think after 2018 that I would even be talking that I could have a kid. I thought I was going to be divorced and single and dating again. So
Mike,
I
you
don't know
said,
if I would date
you
again.
said you have 2 kids.
Yeah, I have 2 boys. One, Mikey's 20. Yeah, he's in our life, and we really don't talk about this much. But I have one that's younger. That's just a whole. I don't even want to say anything much about it.
Yeah.
I'd just be better.
Okay.
It's
But
just
he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's taken care of.
yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
There's just some things with boundaries for his recovery that
It's
needs
probably
to
just better
stay
for all
where
of
it
us,
needs. So
Good.
unfortunately, but
yeah.
we're gonna hopefully do, you know, have a kid maybe one day. So
Yeah,
But
we've been
it's meant to be.
trying. It just hasn't worked out for us yet, but hopefully
Yep.
that's where we're heading next.
Yeah, that's
I need a first mate.
yeah.
Mikey's 20 and growing up and like got a girlfriend and lives with his girlfriend and stuff. So
He has like an electrician company he
Yeah,
started.
good
He
for
did
him.
the trade thing and he just wanted to work for
if
himself.
not, I'll
and
just train my god kids and give them the keys.
they
to
like
the
to
boat.
fish.
Do you think you guys would be where you're at now if you hadn't lived through all the stuff you did?
Everything we've been through is the reason we are where we're at.
Yeah.
And I don't regret. She may think differently, but I don't regret anything that I've done in my past, only because I can't, dude. Because like all that stuff that I've been through made me who I am today. It was my process to get me here. So I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have any of that. So I just gotta just keep going and share my story and hopefully help others. And yeah, I'm good with it, dude. I'm good. I was a drug addict. I am a drug addict. I'm happy where I'm at now. I'm grateful to be grateful.
What about you, Angela? Do you wish things could have been different, or are you kind of glad things worked out the way they did in retrospect?
I wouldn't have wanted it to go as long as it did. Do I think I would have maybe done the little things different? Would have been maybe opening my eyes a little bit beforehand. But like he said, everything happened for a reason. So like maybe I wouldn't have learned about it the way I did, and I wouldn't have set strong boundaries right off the jump or whatnot. So I'm thinking, no one wants to say like after their honeymoon, like they don't have a marriage or it's hard to have kids, you know. It's everything that's supposed to be just easy. You get married, you have a house, you have a kid. Nothing's been easy for me on that regard. Everything's been a challenge. So that sucks. But as far as regrets go, I mean, there is none. I mean, because I am here today. He is here. He's alive. He's here. He's able to do these things. So, you know, I don't have those regrets for that reason.
Well, you both put a lot of work in.
Yeah.
Equally. You know, I know he had to work really hard to get to the point he is now, but you did a lot of work to help him and help yourself learn what he was going through and learn how to heal yourself and each other. So kudos to both of you guys. That's amazing.
I'll give you a trophy. I can't believe you put up with me.
I deserve a trophy.
I mean,
like we have to
seriously,
stay together.
like-
Like she put up with me through all that stuff.
like, if that's not love,
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
What is love? That's it.
Oh, are you singing now?
No.
You singing?
No, that's it. Like it's like crazy to think that like she stuck with me through all that stuff. And that we just touched the surface. Like could you just fill in the
I
blanks.
mean, I wasn't
dude.
going to stick around. Let's be real. I mean, I
Yeah,
did
no,
have a life to
it was
live.
the-
I was
it was
beginning.
the end.
It was
Yeah.
there was divorce papers involved, but not signed. But drawn up. Went and saw a lawyer, and it was a month later that he went into rehab for
Yeah.
last time, October 24th.
Now we're
Going to Montana in
we're
a
going
few
to
weeks.
Montana. I take her fishing sometimes. We quit fishing together for a little bit because we would fight all the time.
Well, the
So
first
I'm the
boat,
captain. First off,
The
don't
fir-
tell me what.
You got your captain's
Yeah.
license, right?
the first
US
boat
Coast Guard
didn't
license,
have an autopilot, so
Oh my
I was
gosh.
nicknamed Autopilot. So I
She would have to steer it while I was trying to set all these rods out, and I'd be like left, right,
and
right.
I'm fighting waves and stuff. I'm like, this is so not enjoyable on my weekend. I'm looking at everyone like on the beach, like laying out, and I'm like, this is so not enjoyable for me. And like we would like, or I was like, nobody wants to hear like domestic
Our
disputes
customers,
on.
we have a
they
lot of
would
our
laugh.
OG customers, like that first year that was with us. Like we still laugh about.
They were like,
it.
oh, how's Autopilot? They couldn't nickname me Autopilot. How's Autopilot doing?
Or,
I'm
or
like,
we'll be like out fishing. They'll be like left, right, like because that's all I would do. I'd be like, you're going too far to the left. You're going too far to the right.
but he has like catchy sayings and stuff like that. And, you know, he does have a pretty big following on his TikTok for his excavator page. So like all these guys that are like his target market, you know,
That's how we
there's
booked up
catchy
our first
sayings.
year.
Yeah, it was all
With,
social
like,
media.
TikTok. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have like 100-some thousand followers on it's I Dig Dirt, and it's all construction stuff, right? And I started kind of by trolling. I just like figured out a little niche to get views, right? So short and sweet videos like calling an excavator a bulldozer or vice versa, just calling stuff by their own name.
People would be like yelling at him on there. I'm like, you're like taking like a lot of
6,000
abuse.
comments. Like, bro, it's a TikTok video. But we ventured in and made like one at a time fishing TikTok and Instagram, and we make some good. We get a good bit of traffic, and you know it keeps our schedule full for charters.
A lot of customers came from
They love
social
it.
media. It's
But they like to come on there and they want to make videos. You know, I try to do one every trip. If it's kind of bad out or like fishing's a little tougher, like trying to get stuff done, sometimes I don't get to film as much. So, but like usually every trip we try to make a little TikTok, whether use a trending sound and make something. So it's fun.
Yeah, you guys have fun on your charters.
My new first mate, Luke, he's a young kid. A few years ago, we were at Walnut Creek Marina and we were loading up our boat. We were out fishing our old boat. We used to trailer. Yeah. And this kid's like waving.
Forrest Gump.
Luke, this is my buddy Luke. So Luke's waving and I was like, who's this little kid? Like he had a life vest on. He was like 13. And I was like, and she's like, who the hell is that? And I was like, I don't know. I just wave, you know, because people do recognize me sometimes from my videos. So then we like go over and he's like, I follow you on TikTok. My name's Luke. I was like, no shit. So we made a little video together.
Luke's like 18 now.
Yeah, he's like a little man now. And I took him and his grandpap, Angela and I, and my sponsor, we took him and his pap out fishing a few weeks ago. And
he was all pumped.
I was like, dude, you want to like work for me? And he's like, oh, I'd love to.
That's right, a dream come true for him.
Yeah, he's loving it.
So like I've been celebrity.
I'm working on training him. So like our last handful of trips here into September, he's going to work with us. And, you know, maybe eventually he can get his credentials and who knows, he could be running one of our boats one day. Because our plan would be to have more than one boat operating in Erie, and that will happen.
So we can be home.
Yeah, we could be home during the week. Someone could be up there, you know.
Have employees.
Yeah.
Are you going to be okay with that, Mike? Because you like to have control of everything.
Yeah, so as we were talking before the show, like I'm really weird about like, don't touch my fishing rods.
Like you're being mean to our customers. Like,
well,
why
our
are
customers,
you being mean?
The way we fish is not like you don't sit there and hold the fishing rod. We troll, and without getting into all that, usually like I set everything up, I catch the fish, and I hand you the fishing rod, and you fight the fish. I net it, and so on and so on. But people like will adjust my drag, and I'll be like watching, and dude will be like adjusting the drag, and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "No." And I said, "You touch the drag." No, I just watched you. Don't touch my drag.
Like I would not book with you tomorrow, but no.
No, guys like it because it's intense. Just like if you were at the gym,
they want to learn.
Yeah, if you were working out with your buddy and doing a bench press, and he was like, "Okay, good job," or you're like, "No, we'll lift that thing off," right? That's what you want. So like fishing, I'm like, "Get that fish in here." Take his life. We yell.
Like the David Goggins of.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very intense situation. The whole thing is intense.
But that's your shtick. Like that's probably why people book because.
Well, he's not boring for sure.
Yeah.
Gotta entertain. You gotta read your customers. You know, I'm a good people person, so like as soon as usually when they call to book, I start building that relationship with them. Talk to them the week leading up to the trip. They could book a year out. Week leading up the trip, we start talking. I kind of feel them out because we can go out there and catch. If there's 5 people, we can go out and catch your 30 fish really, really quick. Or maybe it's like an older 2 couples or something, and they want to just enjoy the day.
The experience.
I'll throttle back a little bit, and you know, and there's a lot of times now with our fishery being so good that we can do that. Like I can either put it all out real quick. Bust my ass.
It depends on what they want too. You know, if they want to stretch it out a little bit.
I'll ask them. I'm like, do you want to go catch a whole bunch of fish this big and fill the core up and go back in before breakfast? Or do you want to like do some journey around, do a little bit of research and catch maybe some bigger fish? And they'll usually pick one and that's what we'll do.
What's the worst charter you've had without throwing anybody under the bus?
I think the call I got from my broker from my full-time job that went on.
Oh my gosh. So we got the new boat last year. So that was like, so it's 2 older couples. I pull up to the dock in the morning and it don't really matter. I pull up to the dock and I dock my boat in the courtesy dock to pick up my customers at the bayfront. And I see them coming down the ramp and they call me and they're like, oh, so-and-so has a walker. And I could see it. And he's like, can you bring your boat down here? I'm like, dude, I'm by myself. I'm like, all right, so I have to untie my boat, get in my boat, go back down, re-dock it. They get in, the one guy can't get around real good. So I set them all up, which that's fine. We can accompany like someone in a wheelchair. We get out there, fishing's good, everything's going good. Well, I'm still like kind of down in a new boat and we put these parachute things out the side. They're drift socks and it kind of stabilizes you and you can control your speed. Just picture a parachute. I had the rope too long. Still learning this boat. Wrapping up, I turned the boat, it went under and got stuck in the dry shack. I literally had to get out of my boat. I put a life vest on one arm, put a rope down, and I made him call my wife, tell her, because she knows I don't like to swim, which is weird, but I'm a good swimmer. I don't like water. I literally had to go in the Lake Erie and like climb under my boat, and I used my feet and unraveled the rope. Because if not, we would have had to get towed in.
Yeah.
If I would have tried to run it, it could have bent the shaft, blew everything out, could have sank the boat. Like it was like a dangerous.
They called me. They were like, "Your husband's under the boat." I'm like,
On purpose?
"What?" And then he said, whenever he came up, they were like all like hanging off the
my boat's
side.
like real high off the water, and like every time I'd like look up, they were all like.
How about a hand down here? Well, if they were, I'm saying you wouldn't ask somebody to help
No.
you, right?
No.
That's
God,
way
no.
too risky.
But we
Yeah.
get with the waves and Lake Erie conditions can get pretty bad, so we get pukers. Someone was on your show, brought their kids on our boat.
Oh yeah.
I said,
And she brought
"Don't
her kids on the
eat."
boat. Yeah.
Don't eat, like, just eat a light breakfast. There was like scrambled eggs in my feet. They were all,
Yeah.
dude.
It was something. They still remember it though. They love it.
But that ain't like that's a pretty common thing. A lot of guys, I see a lot of puke flown from the front. Like people go to the side. I'll be fishing out the back, setting everything up, and I'll see it like floating chunks.
Isn't that just so fun? It's a great time.
I did a charter off of the Gulf of Mexico, off Crystal River, Florida, a deep sea charter.
Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. That's the only like experience I really had with a charter, but
That'd
we
be cool.
caught 40, 50 random different types of fish.
yeah, that'd be cool.
That's
Brought
awesome.
them in, they fillet them. There's a restaurant right there. They cook them up, serve your lunch.
Nice.
It was fun. But
We
an
we
experience.
offer that now. Next year we got a couple new packages coming out. So
like a lake to table experience.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna try to do something.
we
like
did a
that.
couple this year, like kind of dry runs, like spur of the moment. But like we'll go out, take you fishing,
Working
come back.
them.
I'll clean your fish, get them all filleted up. I'll package them up. We'll keep some out, fire up the deep fryer, and we made a couple sides,
And
and
they come back to camp and they get the whole experience.
it is cool to eat your own catch.
yeah, like
You know.
fresh.
Mhm.
Too.
Yeah.
It's real fresh. I think it tastes different.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look.
Yeah, right. I like you did it.
Yeah, right.
Like you can live off the land because
Yeah,
you caught
right.
your own fish.
Live off the land.
When I caught it, you reeled it in. That's what I tell them.
So rude.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know we focused a lot on you, Mike, and your recovery, and we've talked about your business. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about?
No, I mean, it was a good, good message with him, just being able to,
That was our
Come
biggest
from
thing to
that.
share and plug one at a time fishing tours.
oh my God.
And no, Angela, real estate's been kicking butt. She just did her first. What do you call it? A hat
I
trick.
did a hatch. Yeah, it was
3
my,
transactions. This girl like literally was up till midnight, 1 o'clock, like on her computer. Like people, that's what I'm saying. People be like, "Oh, it must be nice. Must be nice to have
the must
that."
be nice comment is the
How
worst
about like,
comment you can
how about like
probably
we
say
both
to
work
me.
full-time jobs, and then like I come home and we eat dinner, and then she's literally on her computer for the last month setting up this, this hat trick.
So you're doing marketing and real estate.
Yeah, I'm an account manager for a workers' comp company during the day, and then I have accounts in 7 different states. I was just in Delaware for that, and then I do real estate at night, and then we do the fishing charter on the weekends in the summer. But yeah, the real estate thing was, is really nice. I do love it, but it's evenings and my weekends in the winter. And like he said, whenever I had these 3 going on at one time, it's not just part-time then at that point. It turns into the second full-time. So
And
it's 80, 90 hours
And
a
it affects
week.
both of us because like we'll
We're
be in
tired.
Erie and like we'll be in Erie and we got like, oh, we gotta fly home. We drive all the way from Erie 2 hours home after I already had a charter that day to go show a client a house or do
He'd have
something.
to drive me on the way home to Erie to go show a house.
Yeah.
Like, just because that's what happens.
We get to spend lots of quality time together though, for sure.
You would not think, but like...
With our cats.
Because with our cats.
They drive everywhere with us.
They
by
do
the way.
drive. And they're named after, like, Dig is a girl. We thought it was a boy. But she was
I found her at work with the excavator.
So
Dig Dig.
Dig is the girl.
And then
Dipsy is...
Dipsy is Dipsy Diver, like we use for fishing. These divers that dive
diver
your lures
things.
down.
So
So
Dipsy and Dig is comes
But
with
they
us
literally
everywhere.
both sit on our console or on the dashboard. Like they go to Erie every weekend with us.
We rescued pigs and we got goats at the little farm that we have, and it's like it's comical. Like I think it's just
Yeah.
comical.
We got a lot going on.
But we do see each other because our businesses intertwine so much. But if they didn't, but there's like I'm actually excited. We might go get something to eat tonight. Like Like,
'Cause you're
holy
not going out
shit.
to Erie.
Like,
Yeah,
so
we're
holy
not.
shit, we're going to go in the morning.
Yeah.
But I have to stay up there, so I have to drive separate because I have clients up in Erie for my full-time job, and then I got to come home and list the house. And it's nonstop.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Yeah, don't
Must be
ever tell me
nice.
must be nice. I might crucify you. So.
But that's the sign of success is when you get haters. Seriously.
Yeah,
'Cause they
that
wanna
su-
pull you
it
down to
sucks,
their
though,
level.
at the same time. Though.
Well, yeah.
No, we do get some haters.
He's
so.
easy. He brushes things. He's Mr. Positivity. He's like polypositivity over here. He's like
Whatever,
just
hate all you want. Like,
yeah.
I
But
mean, it ain't
Mike
gonna change
doesn't
nothing.
say one bad thing about anybody like in life. Like
I mean, I could, I may have, but
but
I don't wanna say I
but
never
honestly,
did.
he really doesn't though. Like it's
But people
like,
make comments like, "Oh, what did you do?" Like, I'm sure they talk like, "What'd you guys do? Hit the lottery? Like, you bought this camper?" Like,
we've had,
no.
like,
How about we
comments
work
there.
our butts off? Like, we literally, and we had nothing 6 years ago. You just heard our
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
It's like we
That's
had
why I
nothing.
asked, like, where did the money come from? Well, you work your asses
Yeah,
off.
we both did. Like,
Yeah, it was-
we saved tons of money. Like, I did all the excavation and work. At my boss gave us a freaking huge excavator. I don't want to sound like a non-construction. It's huge. It was a big excavator that would cost thousands and thousands of dollars a week to rent. Like for a whole year, it was at our house. I'm like, here you go. So I'd go to work, come home, I'd go over to our property and literally just dig until 10
and my
o'clock at
parents
night.
helped like with us living there.
Yeah,
You know,
and,
like
yeah,
we
we
just
didn't have
had
to pay rent.
We just had our land payment until that was paid off, and then we were able to build.
But yeah, I mean,
so.
we started just pretty much. Let's just call it 6, 7 years. Call it 7 years ago. We had
nothing.
we were at zero.
Like savings account didn't exist kind of deal, and so that's why I take it. Like makes me boil when someone makes, even if they're joking, you're like somewhat not joking, you know. And it's like just the must be nice comment, like honestly. And anybody that's successful and stuff, if you say that to somebody, like just don't, because it's like it's so wrong, because you don't see the sleepless nights, and you know when things kind of crumble a little bit. Like we don't have charters this weekend because of wind. Like we had to cancel
Last
them.
weekend and this week.
Yeah,
2 weeks
like,
in a row.
because of
So I'm
wind.
out. So I gotta squeeze them in somewhere, and that means like I might be like doubling up a Sunday and not getting home till late. Where
And then going to work at 5 a.m. the next morning. So it's like that strikes a nerve with me, I think, a
but
little
we're
bit.
okay
so.
doing that, and like I want to do that for another 5 years.
Yeah.
Just say it's like
Yeah, I
5
mean-
years, and then let's relax. Let's maybe like let them businesses kind of do their own thing. Maybe we find that guy to run the boat and blah blah blah, and we can enjoy ourselves a little more. I'm okay because I like messed up for a long time, so I got a lot of making up to do.
I'm
Well-
tired, but yeah, I
well-
mean,
Yeah. I mean, this is like the ultimate success story, guys. Like on so many fronts. You were sort of born again. Your marriage times 2. You got married twice. You know, your businesses, your real estate. Like, it's literally like from 0 to 100. You know, and I hope that you guys notice there is always a chance of getting through the dark times, right? Always. And you are
Absolutely.
proof of that.
Yes.
Who would have thought you would have stayed together, first of all? Who would have thought that you'd still be alive?
yeah.
Not a lot of people.
You could have killed somebody
Yeah.
driving high, like, God, like
A lot of bad things.
I could keep go on and on with, how many times that you guys have kind of pulled through. Right?
Yeah. A lot.
But you can't. It's good to hear that, and it like reinforces what I'm doing now. But like, that's crazy. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't dwell on it either, though.
No. But you can learn from it. And that's what you've done.
Wisdom comes from mistakes.
Absolutely. Do you have any
So we
questions
got-
for me before we close out?
No, this was great. I'm glad we did this, not, to share, experience, strength, hope, for loved ones, even like,
Yeah.
so that was really what, was positive for me in this experience, and just doing this again. It's been a long time since we've, sat down and really reflected back. I was just at the old apartment, showing it the other day, and it like really took me back. I was like, oh my God, it's 2 doors down, it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And that started that. And then coming here really just drove that home for me. It was like, you have to reflect sometimes to see where you come from. You get lost like in the and the shuffle of not real problems in life. You know, you have to think about when you didn't have anything.
It is kind of important to put things into perspective sometimes. Yeah, you're gonna stub your toe walking out of here, and you're gonna be like, "Ah, mother, like this is the worst day ever." And we all do it.
Yep.
Right. Sometimes you have to level set and realize, is it really that bad?
Yeah.
So
I'm good at that.
I'm not. I have a lot
I try to
with
guide
that.
her. She don't listen.
well, you guys are a couple to look up to.
I appreciate it.
You've been through hell, and here you are thriving. Hate on them all you want, guys.
But if you're in trouble, we're gonna come and get you.
Yeah, and that's that.
If you know someone suffering from addiction, we're gonna come help you.
We have actually went to a crack house and got one of his
Dude, oh man.
a friend out for because someone called. It was a loved one called me, reached out to me. So we will come get you because we have took you right to rehab.
I'll come get you again too down in Beaver Falls. Remember that?
Yep.
We well, it was crazy. We actually had like cops helping us, and
Yeah.
it was wild.
Hanging license plates to go find them. Stole a truck. Middle of the night, middle of all these businesses, we still went and helped somebody. So
That's how we roll.
yeah.
Well, you've been bailed out enough, Mike. You should have been in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have been in jail. Should have been dead. Yeah. There's more stories than just that one, but
But yeah, that's the message. We
Yeah.
will help. So yeah.
I appreciate that. And guys, if you need help, seriously, I know it's probably not easy to come forward with something like addiction or some of the couples issues that they've gone through. But if you need help and you want someone who's been through it to help you, they're here for you. So please reach out. Don't wait until it's too late. Right?
Right.
yep.
Guys, you are awesome.
here.
Seriously.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you
having
so
us.
much for coming.
Thank you.
Please comment below. Tell me what you thought of them. Like the video. Please subscribe. Watch one of these episodes. And I will see you on the next episode of Barbells and Bourbon. Peace.
What do you think?
That was awesome, guys.
I think I'm gonna buy you dinner.